Hey Tony, I got a job. I'm looking for a guy who can take a hit from a long 88 to his turret, mantlet, and/or upper or lower frontal plate. Do you happen to know such a guy that would be available in our area? Well, good news, Vinny. I've found the man. He is extremely strong. He's American tank. Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies. I hope you enjoyed that very clever and well-rehearsed skit I've performed for you. I'm sorry, it's late. Today has been extremely hot here on the Oregon coast. Apparently, the weather got as high as 100 degrees Fahrenheit and not Celsius. We're not quite boiling. Or sorry, centigrade? Kelvin is right out. Anyway, it's been a long day. My internet was down. I managed to survive by putting videos I had on my hard drive on loop and pretending I wanted to watch my Viper compilation over and over. I've got a problem. When the internet goes down, my world collapses, and as a Christian, it's just not a healthy thing for me to be so obsessed with something like the internet, because the Lord gets jealous. But here we have Edee in the, oh geez, what is this tank? Oh, you can see what it is. I'm sorry. It's the T29E1, I think. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I can't quite see the things here on the replay. And Edee is going to do incredible things. This is not going to be another 20 kill match, but you're going to see the power of this vehicle, its ability to sustain damage in frontal attacks, and even against things like the long 88, this tank earns its, what is it, 7.0, 7.3 battle rating. Yeah, it's a good one. I have fond memories of this heavy tank myself, as it is one of those rare vehicles that can actually face rock several enemy vehicles while being able to rely on its turret armor. At least if they're not as sophisticated as to aim for the very bottom of your breech at that angled portion of the armor, causing the round to bounce down as a shot trap. But with the, what is this, the long 90mm cannon with a solid APHE round and good penetration for its tier, not quite enough to go through that, what is that, IS-4M? Or no, that would be the IS-3, wouldn't it? I'm sorry, I'm off on quite a number of things today. This is a battle rating that I'm not really all that familiar with. The 7.3 BR is quite a bit less familiar to me, and I think it comes down to the fact that 6.7 and 7.7 are so much more popular. And of course, the focus of this video is going to be Edee, but things are going to take a while to heat up for our protagonist. But I laughed my socks off a few times during this match, watching the replay myself, and I was talking with Edee. I told him, thanks for bringing this one in. I really enjoyed it. So, taking down, what is that, an STA-2, I think? Just a poor 6.3 Japanese medium tank that could nonetheless stand a chance of penetrating Edee's frontal armor here. Sorry, I'm quite tired. I had a long day. I almost went to bed instead of making this video, but I just had to share. I had to get something done today. As I mentioned, this is going to be an entertaining one to watch. A few really funny moments here, and a vehicle that doesn't get featured all that often. It's sort of an awkward battle rating. 6.7 a lot more popular. 7.7 less popular right now than it used to be, with the premium top tier tank spam, a lot of those high tier premiums can get into 7-7 matches, and most of them having APDS and a stabilizer can just totally blitz any of the lesser advanced tanks. Here you see a matchup, a blast from the past. These two vehicles, such good challengers back in the day, and the Jag Tiger with the advantage here squandered as he blasts one into the very strong mantlet armor of Edee's heavy tank, and Edee, not wasting a second shot here, puts one very nicely placed on the cannon barrel, taking down the breach as well, which is going to give that Jag Tiger an impossibly long reload. He also showed some fancy footwork earlier on. Instead of just coming and face-hugging the Jag Tiger, he kept his distance, kept his options open by not accelerating either way, and then chose his angle and went for a backing maneuver to get his gun on target and put himself in position for that flanking maneuver where he got that beautiful one-shot kill, exploding every dang thing inside that Jag Tiger with the very effective performance of the American 90mm cannon. Taking down a Jag Tiger and capturing a base, not at all a bad way to start a match, especially considering that he is going to need every capture point that he can get his hands on. You can see the Allied team on the back foot for sure here, as you see that this is also probably a 7-7 match, so good for those 7-7 tanks. Taking down, this time, was that an IS-3? I think so. I'm really bad at naming Soviet tanks, especially after midnight. I just don't have the stamina that I used to have. Edee now targeting the spaghetti as that poor double recoilless gets completely shredded by that powerful cannon round that went down the length of the vehicle. Getting exposed like that is not what you want to happen in your spaghetti tank destroyer. That is a vehicle, the R3 variants, that do not have the survivability, but with their guns and their firepower, their extremely nimble design, they can prove a tricky foe, and I absolutely love to get a chance to punish them for existing. The R3T20 FAHS shock has not worn off. I hate that SPAA with a passion, and I've given myself license to do so. Anyway, Edee continuing on here, definitely on the back foot, with already 4 kills. When did he pick up all those kills? Has it been that many already? Quite impressive in any regard. Having captured 2 bases, he's definitely performing well for his team here, setting an example in a match where examples are needed, being a hero of the front lines, pushing forward through the enemy, leading the way as a heavy tank should. You can hear his allies around him. You can also hear ATGMs flying. That's right. In this match, this late World War II or post-war design facing anti-tank guided missiles, probably not
really
what the designers had in mind. And that is true, Edee. Your replay is indeed going to be in a video. Do you guys like the push to talk I have going on here? This replay seems a little bit buggy. Not sure exactly why. It seemed pretty smooth when I was oh my gosh, is that an N1K2 jaw? I think so. At least it was. And then a potato truck peeks its little hood around the corner and just gets hull broken. Get utterly shattered. Where do you get these guys? It's halfway through a match You know what? I do like this replay, Eddie. I laughed just as hard the second time I saw that scene as the first time. And now things are definitely jumping around here. Something with the replay definitely didn't record properly, but here Edee capturing another base, and the M47 Walker Bulldoge just gets completely shredded by that round. 6 kills in the this is the T32 E1. My apologies. The name comes back to me, along with all of those memories of expecting my turret to handle the incoming rounds and finding it to be not sufficient. Looking around, we saw a heat round, a missile, and then another heat round, which means only one thing: BMP-1. And a beautiful shot through the loophole in the wall there. The first heat round passing through a breach in the wall that was already present, following up with his powerful ATGM and using a third round quickly loaded by, I believe the BMP-1 has an auto loader, to take down the T32E1. And here you see my weeb skin for the F80 A, that's right. Sorry, it was called the P80 back in my day. But the F80A here, a very powerful American jet at 7.0. Couple of 1,000-pound bombs on the wings, although they're not going to quite be on target. You can see that Edee is pulling as hard as he can. The vehicle's starting to lock up when he drops his bombs. And interestingly here, that Italian armored car had all of the viewports blacked out on one side and the other side of the vehicle. And of course this is a replay, so some of the leading here is not going to look quite correct, but I thought that was hilarious that the viewports absorb damage on both sides of the vehicle. It's like, don't bother blocking if you can just absorb all the damage with your eyes, right? And now I think that was the oh geez, what's it called? The I-16S, I think. That red premium aircraft that was part of the last major Build-A-Bear event that we had in War Thunder, and Edee wasted no time in shredding that poor soul with his 50 cals. Being targeted by an enemy prop, looks like that guy's not gonna have the ability to follow Edee in these maneuvers. Not sure why he's not worried about that guy who was shooting at him. Maybe he's using his speed here to zoom away. It's always interesting to see how other people fly jets in this game. A lot of players are less experienced in aircraft, and that shows in little ways. I think it definitely took a lot longer for me to get used to flying airplanes in the game, especially in Ground Strike, and that's one of the reasons that I enjoyed doing so much today. And now you can see from the score that things on the ground are getting a bit desperate. Edee's going to have to make some tough decisions here, whether to stick with his F80 or to suicide, to play aggressively, to jump out. Well, it looks like Edee has left the building. The replay a bit glitchy. Not sure if he got shot down there. I think he actually did. Again, I think this is actually a problem with my recording software or my editing software, something along those lines, and I do apologize. I don't know if you guys are seeing these jumps the way I am. It could be my computer acting up. I'll have to look into it. But for now, we go on with the commentary. The show must go on. It is, after all, after midnight. I have a warm, sweaty wife to go cuddle up with and fall asleep together. It's gonna be soggy tonight. It's far too hot for a coastie here. So looking forward to being miserable tomorrow morning. I don't think I'm going to be sleeping very well tonight. And I have a rather big day planned tomorrow. Thanks for asking. I'm going to go, well, you guys don't need to know about it. I usually do youth pastor stuff on Wednesday nights, but I actually get the chance to do some pastor things on Wednesday nights, so that's kind of a big deal. My YouTube channel hit 1,000 subscribers, even surpassed it like it was nothing. You guys keep on streaming in, and I'm just so happy to see each and every one of you, especially if we get to see interesting replays like this one that Edee showed us. There was just something about it that I really enjoyed, and it's hard to put my finger on it, but I think it reminds me of my own times in the T32, and I might be naming the tank wrong. Apologies if that's the case, but I really enjoyed watching this one, and I don't know if I was able to convey that with this replay video. I am pretty tired and just everything seems kind of gray. So I hope I haven't bored you with this one. But the match is winding down. Edee rushing to go assist in capturing points. His team persisting, keeping on. This was a rough match. It was an up tier for Edee, who had to make the best of a tricky situation. Facing vehicles like the BMP-1 can make your armor seem useless in the T32. Edee bouncing a shot here from that looks like a T54, which is a rare pleasure. He's a lucky man. Heat FS goes through the turret of the enemy Soviet tank, which is always a good thing and definitely necessary here. The angled hull is not going to be enough to stop that Heat FS round from punching through, and this is how we see the vehicles that used to have the strongest armor in the game way back in the day. Back when I started playing, just after the American forces came out, vehicles like that T-54 were dominating the meta. They were nigh undefeatable, and yet Heat FS can make even the lowly M46 or M47 a much more deadly opponent than you ever would have predicted before those days. I remember watching a Baron von Games video on the M40. It is the M47, right? He said he was going to use the nuke rounds, and the nuke rounds were APCR. And APCR, even back then, was trash. My, how the tables have not turned. APCR is still trash. I would love to see a bit of a buff to that round, at least in terms of post-penetration effect. It's just hard to imagine something punching through that much armor and not having a cone of damage at the other end. But I digress. Here we are in cinematic mode. That is a victory for Edee. He stuck with it. His whole team kept playing and fighting hard. There were moments where I thought for sure he was in over his head. He was outclassed, but he pulled through. He had a good mix of luck and skill, and this reminds me a lot of my earlier days in War Thunder. By no means have I really surpassed that, but well, it turns out I've played over 15,000 battles, and I recognize a younger man when I see Edee's gameplay here. It's always exciting to see somebody making progress in War Thunder. Anyway, I've yammered on long enough. Look forward to catching you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.